Anyways, let's bring up your next comedian, last comedian, Miss Emily Stickley.
Thank you. Let's give it up for Monumental Beer Works for having us this evening. Keeping you guys beard up, keeping me beard up. Y'all doing good still? Doing good? Yeah? You're a lot more lively than my last crowd. I went in and I was like, how's everybody doing? Crickets. I mean, dead silence. And then the mortician came down and said, ma'am, I don't think you're allowed to be here. I wrote that joke. It's a weak one, I know. I promised my stuff might get better. I'm not going to promise you. I wrote that joke when I was 17 years old in the parking lot of my high school where I was like, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian someday. Tonight is special to me because 7 years ago to the day, I did my very first stand-up set. So, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I learned that every 7 years, your cells turn over and you become essentially like a brand new person. So we're going to try some new jokes and see how it goes. I think microwave presets were made by people who don't cook. Let's be honest. Okay. This is pretty woke of me, but I don't like racism. Racism is not fun to me unless it's happening to white people. At that point, I find it very hilarious. I mean, and it's because it's clever, right? Like, we don't have very clever insults. Like, when somebody calls me a cracker, I'm like, yeah, I've been to a Midwest barbecue. I get it. It's kind of boring. There's no music, everybody's talking, and everything's made out of Miracle Whip. I get it. Kind of boring. There's a little bit of guilt when I hear this one, but I always cackle when somebody calls me a colonizer. Because I'm like, I didn't do that. I literally didn't. I didn't do that. But a little bit of white guilt in there, and you hit it, and I think it's funny. Thank you for being clever. I actually was a victim of, we say as white people, reverse racism, but it's really just racism all the way around. We have a coworker who is from Afghanistan, and he walked up to me at a company picnic and handed me a lighter, and I was like, thank you. Very confused. And the woman standing next to me, who was also blonde and a little bit chunky, was like, oh wait, that's mine. Here's the thing though, I have a solid 6 inches and 100 pounds on her. We don't look anything alike. So I was like, I get it, I understand. It's hard these days being a cisgender, bisexual white woman, because you just get kind of hate from all sides, right? White people, for obvious reasons. And when you're bisexual and cisgender in the LGBTQ community, you get kind of tension with that, right? And I understand that my job, as those things, I have to hold space for those people to be upset. But I would just like to set the record straight. I didn't fucking choose it. I didn't choose it. And they always say, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I chose to be fat and polyamorous. That's what I can handle, okay? I can't handle all the hate. I'm a Pisces with anxiety. I'm sensitive. Yes, I said fat, but I'm not quite scared of it like everybody else in the night was. I embrace it fully because if you're a titty man, my whole body feels like a titty. If you're an ass man, my whole body feels like an ass. Really, y'all the ones missing out. Where I miss out is roller coasters. Yes, they will hold me, but I don't trust them. So I get my adrenaline right here, in front of you fine folks. Telling jokes, hoping they pan out. Being thick is also an insurance policy. I am too thick to snatch, right? No Ted Bundy is gonna come up off the street and be like, that's the one, right? Nobody likes to make more than one trip for groceries. I am at minimum 3 trips, both arms full, fingers turning purple, right? I'm not an easy load. Nobody's going to take that one. And I'm okay with that. Insurance. Yes, I said polyamorous. I am in a happy relationship with a married couple. First time dating married men's worked out for me. So, I'll take it. A lot of people are like, oh, polyamorous? I don't know if I could do that. Don't you guys get jealous? Don't you get jealous? And I'm like, yeah, like we're humans. Everybody gets jealous, but we handle it like everybody in monogamous relationships does, right? Like you come to your partner with vulnerability, transparency and communication, and you say, hey babe, that doesn't make me feel good. Can we talk about it? Right? That's what you guys do? Because that's what we have to fucking do, because there's 3 people and there's so much communication. You can't let stuff fester like that. So yes, we get jealous, but we have to fucking talk about it. A lot of people think my boyfriend is the most lucky man on earth, right? He has 2 smart, funny, thick bitches giving him double blowjobs. And that's true. He has 2 thick, smart, funny, double bitches giving him blowjobs, but we're also telling him how to load the dishwasher 2 different ways. He also has 2 backseat drivers at all times because we make him drive and we sit in back because we're besties. He has 2 women being like, are you going to wear that outside of the house? Are you sure? So it's a little exhausting. He always wants me to tell the joke, you know, men are born a boulder, and by the time they're like dead in a polyamorous relationship, they're a smooth river stone, right? And I'm like, yeah, but you still don't close the fucking cabinets, so no. Every morning I wake up, a cabinet's open, right? It's the attention to detail that's kind of lacking for him. That's okay though. I love him anyway. My girlfriend has nieces that she watches about once a week, and I get nervous around children. Like, it's not easy for me. So trying to calm me, she goes, hey, if you just, sit there, let your inner child be, play with them, like it's a time for your inner child to be free. I looked her in the eye and I was like, my inner child's been dead longer than JonBenet Ramsey, so I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. It's been long enough. You guys can laugh. It's not like I'm making jokes about 9/11. Come on. We all grew up differently. And one of the first cues to me that me and my partners grew up differently was my boyfriend was like, if you could put anything in mac and cheese and make it fancy, what would it be? Both at the same time, my girlfriend and I answer. Her answer is lobster, right? Lobster, mac and cheese, Gordon Ramsay shit. My answer, Little Smokies. Just a little background on me. The first picture of me in existence is my mom in front of a Christmas tree with a cigarette in this hand and a Natty Ice in this hand and me in her belly. I grew up in South Clifton, if that puts any geolocation to you guys. We talk about how we grew up pretty often, and I giggle at our housing situations. So my boyfriend grew up primarily in the same house his whole life. His parents didn't sell it and move until he was basically graduated college, and he was very sad about it. He's like, they're getting rid of my childhood home and moving into a mansion. He was very sad about it. His parents moved into a mansion. My girlfriend, she grew up in the trailer park, but her family made it out, right? So she started in the trailer park, but lived in the same trailer most of that time. And then they live in this beautiful house in North Clifton. Me, I can point out all the apartments, trailers, and North Avenue motels I lived in based on the traumatic event that happened there. You can laugh at it, I'm unpacking. So on that, Marvel movies. I think they set a very unrealistic expectation for workplace safety, right? Let's start with Spider-Man. People think, I'm going to get bit by a radioactive spider and shoot webs out of my arms. First of all, Spider-Man is literally the only person that nobody questions webs shooting out of his arms. And secondly, what if it's not out of your arms, right? What if it's out of your kneecaps or your butt? That's fucking weird. What if you get MRSA after getting bit by a radioactive spider, right? Don't go get bit by spiders. I know we're all logical adults in here, but I still feel like it sends a very unsafe message. Like Captain America, too, right? Voluntarily, yes, American man epitome, inject me and I'll be it. When in all reality, it starts riding around the injection site. He goes bald, gets fat, and starts having a layer of Cheeto dust permanently on his fingers. Really the epitome of American man, I guess. And the Hulk, right? Last one, the Hulk. If anybody else were to fuck with some radioactive bio stuff, you would probably end up coming out looking like The Hills Have Eyes, right? That is not socially acceptable. Do y'all remember Chernobyl? We all told them, see ya. And meanwhile, the Hulk is like all good. So I just think Marvel is setting a very irresponsible tone for workplace safety. One of my favorite things is that people like to share their most vulnerable moments with me, be it times that they were scared, times that they were facing backlash. I like that I can create that type of space for people to be comfortable with me. One of the things that I find I get the most are poop stories. For some reason, people just feel comfortable being like, hey, do you want to know about this time I almost shit myself? And I was like, absolutely, yeah. And maybe it's because I tell these jokes, right? So I've collected so many poop stories over the years, I figured it was a good idea for me to share one with all of you of my own right now in this moment. I'm a little bit lactose intolerant, just a little bit. And I was riding the GVT. This was back when my car was broken down. I was like, fuck, I gotta go to job interview, public transit, let's go. So the bus stop in my neighborhood is probably about 4 blocks from my house. So I get off the bus and I'm like, ooh, that latte isn't sitting super well with me. We're only 4 blocks from home, we'll be good. That's when I got off the bus. About 4 houses down, my body was like, shit, right now, shit. Pause real quick. If I was ever a serial killer, I would strike people when they're the most vulnerable, and that's when you're shitting. It'd be the shit shanker, right? And the headlights would ring, shit shanker strikes again, because everybody loves alliteration. Anyway, I'm like, emergency situation, 4 blocks away, 4 houses away from the bus stop, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna walk 4 blocks in shitty underwear, so let's do this. I drop trowel and shit in my neighbor's front yard behind their bush. Yeah, dogs do, exactly, dogs do it, why can't we? I think it's public indecency, I think that's a problem. So, I luckily had some napkins in my pocket from the coffee I had earlier, so I was able to be hygienic. And you wanna know the worst part about that story? It's not mine, and you can't trust me with shit. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving me a good night. Hope you all had fun. Sheldon.
Good job, Emily. One more round of applause for Emily.